Good morning and Merry Christmas from Northumberland. It's just about sunrise here on the 5th of January, the day after the latest of our lockdowns has been announced. I make it lockdown 3, as well as having been in tier 4 for quite a long time. And this lockdown in parts really reverts to the situation we had in mid-March. And the Prime Minister in his statement yesterday said that there are dark weeks ahead because we enter a very precarious and a very dangerous time. The scientists whose duty it is to advise the government have said that there is a very real chance of many of our national health services being overwhelmed in the next 3 or 4 weeks unless urgent action is taken. And we still don't have really the feed through from the Christmas relaxation and what effect that may have had on the transmission rates. And so I think I, like many other people in the country, are deeply saddened but also relieved that this action has been taken, because it seemed to me that we were going in a very dangerous direction. One of the differences that has happened now in January 2021 that wasn't there in March 2020 is that public worship has not been legally suspended in England. And there are a number of voices on both sides, either bemoaning that or applauding it. What has happened is that this has been left to individual churches to take an appropriate decision for their area. And it's my responsibility, along with the wardens and the PCC, to take this decision. I can make recommendations, and my suggestion at present is that we suspend worship with a view to reviewing this suspension in early February and taking a decision for the middle of Lent, which Ash Wednesday I think falls on the 17th of February this year. I do this extremely reluctantly, because for me and for many of you I know, coming together in public worship is absolutely crucial to my faith. And I believe honestly and sincerely that, marvelous though recorded and Zoom and live stream worship is, it lacks the basic community sense that we have when we come together. Coming together as a Christian community, as a body of Christ, physically assembled, is for me, and I believe for many of the people I've talked to in the last months, so important. And so it is only with extreme reluctance that I'm going to make the recommendation today to our parochial church councils that we put this suspension in place. I would completely understand if any of our PCCs decided otherwise, and I would support their decision. But my recommendation is that we make this suspension of worship for the next 4 or 5 weeks. And I do this because I've been looking at the statistics for our own area as well as the statistics for our country. There is no doubt that the statistics for our country are dire. But even in our own area, where just before Christmas there was no measurable COVID cases for our benefice, or indeed almost throughout our whole deanery, there is evidence that this has grown, that we've gone from none to 10. That sounds like a very small figure, but we only have a population around here of a few thousand people. And so there has been a considerable increase. And we also don't yet know the effect of the new strain of COVID as it moves north and east in our country. We're probably still dealing with mainly the old variant at the moment. And it's on that basis that I will be making this recommendation to our churches today. Along with that, there is a commitment to be reviewing these figures week by week, indeed day by day, over the next month or so that at the beginning of February I can present the figures to the PCCs and they can take an informed decision about when is the correct time to resume worship again. In the meantime, the message from the government is very clear. Except for essential shopping, for medical needs, for important things like that, and for exercise, it is important that we stay at home, because the spread of this virus is rising, and we do not yet have the rollout of vaccines that can enable people to face this situation with a greater degree of security. And this comes to the final factor in my recommendation. That is that most of our congregations will be in that first tranche of people who could be expected to be vaccinated in the first 3 months of this year. That means that they have a greater risk of contracting the disease, and more importantly, a greater risk of suffering from the disease in a way that other people would not. We therefore have to hold that in mind as well, and the rollout of vaccination will also affect our decision making. I'm very aware that this will be deeply disappointing for some. I'm also aware that other churches in other benefices, maybe very close to us, will continue to worship. But our 3 churches, each with only a single entrance, each with only a single aisle, have presented challenges, and I think we've dealt with them very well. But I think as the risk has increased in the last few days and the last couple of weeks, I think it's important to pause and take stock. In the meantime, as we enter this time, I would say to everyone, if there are practical things, practical issues, prescriptions, etc., on which you need help, then don't hesitate to be in touch. Or, for example, if you need transport to get to a vaccination, please be in touch and we will see what we can do to help you. May God bless us all as we enter this very dark time, but a time that does have the hope that we have the resources to come out of this and through vaccination find a greater safety for us all. God bless us all.